I'm Leslie Kramer. I'm the current president of the Brookline Bird Club, which was founded in Brookline, but it has since expanded to all over Massachusetts and beyond. So the Brookline Bird Club was founded in 1913 by a group of people who actually lived in Brookline, and they used to meet at the library, and people would come, and actually a lot of women were involved too, and I don't know if it's because they had some time on their hands or what, but a lot of the original walk guides, the bird club walk guides, were women. We just had a 100-year anniversary in 2013, and we're still going strong. We started out with in 1913 with just a few members, and we're up to at least 1,200 members. So we've got people who are single, who are members, and then there are families, there are couples, there are families with 3, 4, 5 members. So birds matter for a number of reasons. First and foremost, birds are part of an ecosystem the same way people are, the same way trees are, insects, non-living objects as well, granite or sandstone, things like that. So everything in the environment is part of the ecosystem. Birds matter because they are just as important, if not more so, than other aspects of the ecosystem. They're barometers for how the environment is doing. Is the water clean? Is the air clean? In the 1970s, the federal government passed laws that helped clean the water, helped clean the air. Those laws are since threatened over the last couple of years. There are people in government who want to get rid of the laws or at least loosen some of these environmental laws. So birds matter because they tell us how clean the water is. Is there water? What's happening to our streams? What's happening to the oceans? Are the oceans becoming saltier? Are the temperatures getting warmer? Yes, they are. I mean, we kind of know the answers to these. They're rhetorical questions. But birds will either survive or not, depending on how the environment is doing and what we're doing as humans to the environment. Urban areas are actually, they are, as I had used the word before, they're a kind of barometer. We're sitting in a park whose main tree species are oak trees. Oak trees are fabulous for birds because they support about 500 species of caterpillars, from moths and butterflies, and birds, baby birds and adult birds eat those caterpillars. These trees are supporting a tremendous amount of bird life. If you look at the chain of life, so if you look at producer and consumer, and the way we tend to look at how different species survive on the existence of other species. So if other towns and cities like this one would plant trees like oak trees, which are native to the Northeast, where we are, the Northeast North America, if they would plant these kinds of species instead of, let's say, species that are originally from other continents, that's not helpful to the birds here because the birds need to eat the insects that they have evolved with over millions of years. Urban landscapes can also add not just trees, but they can add water sources, they can add places where birds can find food, water, shelter, and safety. There are suburban settings where you would think, well, of course, there are more trees in the suburbs, but that's not necessarily so. Many people, not everyone, but many people who live in the suburbs do things like plant lawns, but lawns support very little, if any, bird life. You'll see a robin occasionally land on a lawn after it's been watered and yank a worm out, or a bluebird and catch an insect on a lawn, but by and large, they're what ecologists call deserts because they really don't support a lot of life. People should not have their cats go outside. I know people say, I've had cats my whole life. People say, but my cat wants to go outside. Yeah, of course they want to go outside, but they kill birds. Cats kill more birds than anything else. It's really dreadful, and you don't necessarily see your cat killing birds, but I don't care how well fed that cat is. That's what it does. Cats do this really well. They kill birds. So please, please, please keep your cats inside. And if you absolutely have to take your cat outside, put him on a leash and then bring him back in. We're really good at sponsoring walks, sponsoring and leading walks. The walks originally started in Brookline, but there were, if you look at some of the old bulletins, many of those walks were in Brookline, but they also went to other places. They went to Jamaica Plain, so they would take walks around the pond, and we still have walks around the pond. So the club is always looking for supporting those wonderful places where birds are. These walks are also on public transportation lines, so if people need to use public transportation, they can attend those walks. Plus, we also have a workshop program, workshops and webinars. So since COVID, we've been sponsoring a lot of webinars and virtual workshops using Zoom. I'm on the workshop committee, so I can tell you in the next 5 or 6 weeks, we're going to have workshops on ocean-going birds, which are called pelagic birds. We're going to have workshops on sea mammals and sea life. We'll have workshops on the gulls of North America. So the club is really good at trying to bring as many people in as possible. We're sponsoring more. We're doing outreach to different communities. Boston Nature Center is one. As an educator, I used to have an after-school program and would have students sign up. They could use binoculars, and we would take walks around Fresh Pond and look for and look at birds. We would look at the water at Fresh Pond and see what ducks are there. We would look to see what plants are there that are bringing the birds in. And this is young people, kids who might not ever have thought, oh, birds, what do birds have to do with me? But birds have to do with them too, and they can go outside. This is not just, the old white lady teacher, I want you along too, and let's take a walk around, and then we'll have a snack. And this birding is fun. You don't overload a newer birder with information. So setting up feeders is wonderful. I have 2-3 hummingbird feeders at my little urban house. You want to make sure you change that syrup every few days. Like the hot weather that we've had over the last week or two, that will turn that hummingbird syrup sour, and it will attract insects. And you'll look in the hummingbird feeder and say, this is looking a little soupy. So you have to make sure that your bird feeders and your hummingbird feeders are cleaned, and you don't have to fill the bird feeder up all the way, just a little bit, and you'll see, are birds eating this seed? Who's at my feeder? The hummingbird feeders that I had up, woodpeckers are coming too. There are insects now getting inside the bird feeder, so the woodpeckers are eating them. The hummingbirds are happy drinking from the flowers that I'm growing. So you never know who's going to show up at your feeder. Massachusetts is one of the hot spots for birding in the United States and possibly the world. We have many, many, many totally dedicated, one might say infatuated, never-ending birding populations. There's a lot of us out there. There's something called eBird, which is a way of documenting your sightings and learning about birds. Cornell Labs, which is at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, is a wonderful resource. If anybody wants any resources, the Brookline Bird Club, which is the largest bird club in Massachusetts and one of the oldest in the United States, actually has links to lots and lots of other bird clubs. So let's say you live out in the Berkshires or you live in Worcester. There are bird clubs that exist in those places, and they're wonderful bird clubs. Birding is not just for a particular group of people. It belongs to everybody. And the more you learn about birds, the more you care about birds and figure out, can I put up that bird feeder in my habitat? Is it okay to put that up? Do I have permission from whoever I live with or the landlord or whatever, because these are all questions that you want to find the answers to. You can go birding without worrying about being in a closed environment. And yeah, there are certain places that you might want to go birding with another person, and then there are places like sitting outside, looking out a window. You can do that. You can watch the birds. You don't have to be in any fancy place. You don't have to buy expensive binoculars. You can look at birds no matter where you are, and looking at birds will connect you to, I wonder what kind of tree that bird is in, or I wonder why that bird is going there and not here. So it also gets your brain thinking. I think it makes us a more thoughtful, kind, inclusive group of people. Anyone who's watching this, go outside and go birding, and if you're not sure what to do or how to do that, ask someone, because there are people who will go out birding with you. So, thank you.